My name is Sarah. I live in Kabul, a city that never sleeps, a city that laughs and cries at the same time. Some days it smells like fresh bread and green tea. Some days it smells like smoke and fear. But for me, Kabul always smells like him. Ramin. Ramin was not just a boy. He was the sound of my laughter. He was the warmth of my mornings. He was the reason I loved this broken city. We met in a small cafe near Sharina. I was studying, reading a book I didn't understand. He came in, carrying his camera, and ordered the same tea I always ordered. Cardamom tea with too much sugar. He smiled at me once, and that was enough. That smile was the beginning of everything. We started meeting there every week. We talked about books, music, and dreams that felt too big for Kabul. He wanted to photograph peace. I wanted to write stories about it. Together, we created small moments of happiness in a place where happiness was rare. Ramin loved taking pictures of streets, old men, and children with kites. I loved watching him work. When he looked through his camera, the world seemed softer. Even war looked like something that could heal. Our favorite cafe had blue chairs and a window facing the street. We used to sit there and count how many people smiled in 1 hour. If 5 people smile, it means hope is still alive, he once said. We always counted at least 6. On my 23rd birthday, Ramin said he wanted to take me somewhere special. Not a cafe, he whispered. A sky wider than Kabul. I laughed and said, "You mean Bamiyan?" He nodded. His eyes sparkled like the morning sun. We left early that morning. The air was cool, and the road curved like a lazy river between the mountains. I remember his hand on the steering wheel, his other hand holding mine. We sang songs, stopped for tea, and laughed about the strange signs along the road. For a few hours, I believed that life was finally kind. Bamiyan was beautiful. Blue sky, quiet valleys, ancient cliffs. We watched the sunset from a hill. He took my picture there, standing in the golden light, my scarf flying in the wind. Then he said softly, "You look like peace." We drove back the next morning. I don't know why, but I felt uneasy. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way the mountains looked too still. I held his hand tighter. He smiled at me. That calm smile that always said, "Everything will be okay." But everything wasn't okay. There was a sudden flash, a loud sound. The world turned white and then black. I felt myself flying, my ears screaming. When I opened my eyes, the sky was upside down. Dust filled my mouth. My body hurt, but I could still move. I called his name. Ramin. No answer. Only the crackle of fire. I crawled toward him. His hand was still warm, but his eyes were closed. The camera lay beside him, broken. For a moment, I thought he was just asleep. I shook him. I begged him to wake up. He didn't. The soldiers found us hours later. They said we had driven over a roadside mine. They took his body away, They told me I was lucky to be alive. Lucky. That word felt like poison. I stayed in the hospital for weeks. My legs healed, but my heart didn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his smile. Every time I heard a car engine, I felt the blast again. Kabul felt different now. The same streets, the same cafes, but empty. Empty without him. I stopped going to our cafe. The blue chairs reminded me of his laughter. The cardamom tea tasted bitter. I carried his camera with me everywhere, even though it was cracked. I couldn't take pictures, but I could still hold it, like holding his memory. Every year on my birthday, I drive back to that road, the road that took him away. I stop where the ground is still scarred. I sit beside the small stone I placed there. I bring one red rose, his favorite flower. I don't cry anymore. I just talk to him. I tell him about Kabul, about the children who still fly kites, about the cafe that now plays his favorite song. I tell him about the new bridges, the broken dreams, the strange hope that refuses to die. And sometimes I tell him about me, how I learned to smile again, even when it hurts. People ask me why I still visit that road. They don't understand. That road is where my life broke, but it's also where love still lives. It's where his last breath met my first tear. It's where I left my heart, buried in dust and silence. I remember once he said, "If something happens to me, promise me you'll keep smiling." I didn't answer then. I was afraid of those words. But now, when I visit that place, I smile, softly, through the ache. I smile because he wanted me to. Sometimes I close my eyes and imagine him beside me again, holding the camera, asking me to pose. "One more photo," he says in my mind. And for a moment, I feel the wind in my hair, the light on my face, and his love all around me. When I drive back to Kabul, the city looks beautiful and broken, just like me. The cafes are full again. People laugh, children play. Life moves forward, as it always does. But for me, something will always stay behind on that mountain road. I live, I work, I smile. But deep inside, I know a part of me never left that day. I am alive. But my heart, my real heart, is still there, under the dust, beside the broken camera, next to him. Kabul is full of noise, of traffic and dreams. But to me, it's always silent now, because without him, Kabul is empty.